name's Allison Rowe. I am the artist behind the Tar Sands Exploration Station, which is where we are right now. And the Tar Sands Exploration Station is a mobile museum slash live space slash sculpture on wheels that I took up in 2010 to Fort McMurray, Alberta to check out the tar sands. And when I was there, I found that it was such a fascinating place and there was so much more going on than what people talk about in popular media that I decided to mobilize the space, because not everybody can get out to almost the Arctic Circle to see it. So here in the space, if you look around, you'll notice we have little touches everywhere of different things, maps connected in Fort McMurray, and then information about the oil sands or the tar sands, depending upon, some people think that they're kind of a political term. So I have maps, materials I collected, everything from advertisements on how much housing cost to environmental samples. So I collected a lot of environmental samples. This is oil sand itself. And basically what I do is I use this space to make a domestic environment where people can come actually interact with oil-related issues, explore things, and have a conversation or a snack. This is a model of one of the mining sites. This is basically one of the methods they use. So they clear everything, which they call overburden, in this case the ancient boreal forest, off the top of a particular deposit, then dig down in and do open pit mining to get the resource out. And then up here we have a SAG-D model. So this is basically just an example of one of the things they'll do. If there's a deposit underground, they'll pump water down into the deposit, or steam rather, and then they'll have another pipe so that when the pressure builds, the gravity will push the oil sand slurry up back to the original source of the steam. There's also a do-it-yourself extraction machine in case you needed to extract oil sand at home for some reason, and a library, as well as, free postcards of kind of dystopic Fort McMurray landscapes that people can take and send their MPs or their family or whoever else they'd like to send them to. And that's a basic tour of the space. Great.
And do you have a website?
I do. My website is AllisonRoweArt.com. So that's Allison with 2 L's and an I. And then the Tar Sands Exploration Station actually has its own blog, which is tarsands.tumblr.com.
Great. And so you don't actually live in the van itself, do you?
No, not at this time. I lived in the van in Fort McMurray.
Oh, okay.
Because housing's so expensive out there. So I paid $425 a week to plug it in a campground.
Okay.
So the rent's more expensive than an apartment in Toronto.
And how was the response of locals and officials while you were there?
Well, when I went to Fort McMurray, it was before I'd turned the van into a museum, and I met a lot of really interesting people with a ton of different perspectives on what they were doing. I met a lot of people that were working in oil because they were from the East Coast and they used to work for a fishery, and there wasn't any more work there. I met a lot of people that were just trying to get in and out as fast as they could to pay off their student loans or to do something like that. And then a lot of people that were working within the city that were really critical of what was happening and then the projections forward. So a lot of municipal employees that were really concerned about how fast the community was growing in the projects, as well as, maybe most importantly, a lot of Indigenous people who are either directly or indirectly being impacted by the impacts of tar sand mining on their land.
The downstream toxic impacts.
As well as the people that are right in the center of it. There's an Indigenous community in Fort McKay, which is basically in the middle of the mining operations. And so there's a lot of vastly different perspectives in that community on how they should work or not work with the oil companies.
Great. Well, thanks very much, and we'll visit your website. From Toronto, thank you.
Thanks.
And we'll keep a watch on what's going on with the politicians and the people affected. Thank you.
Thanks very much.